St. Louis, Missouri rises from the landscape of the Midwest as a sprawling modern metropolis. But the city bears a rich history. Named for the King of France, it was founded on the banks of the Mississippi back in 1763. The mighty river fueled the city's phenomenal growth, making it a commerce capital of the 19th century. It was a time when riverboats lined the shores and fortunes were made on the water. Wealthy entrepreneurs settled around St. Louis, and fashionable homes and gardens soon filled the growing urban landscape. Today, in the heart of the city, a secret garden conceals a bit of the early glory days of St. Louis. Tucked behind walls at the Missouri Botanical Gardens, the Victorian garden is easily overlooked by visitors.
The visitor, as they come through, have a number of acres to come through it, and they come up through a lot of wooded areas, and it's kind of stumbled upon.
Then, like a jewel in the sun, the brilliant Victorian garden sparkles with its lush beds of dazzling flowers. Boxwoods frame the garden, hidden from the street by a wall of trees. Formal geometric patterns weave a design of purple, pink, and white flowers around a 4-ton statue of the mythical Roman character of Juno. At its feet, a tapestry of flower beds soaks up the sunshine. Twisted topiaries frolic above a purple carpet dotted with poppies. This hidden oasis was created in 1839 by an English immigrant, Henry Shaw. He made his fortune on the Mississippi River and spent it transforming the Missouri plains. As Shaw's passion for horticulture grew, he looked for a way to return his good fortune to the people of St. Louis. So he opened his garden to the public in 1853 as the Missouri Botanical Garden. Today, it's the oldest in the country, but holds many new secrets to be discovered.
It amazes me that how many local people don't realize how many haven't come here since they were in school, and it needs to be explored again.
The true age of the majestic Scotch elm near the house is unknown, but it's believed that Shaw himself imported the tree from Europe sometime in the mid-1800s. On the other side of the home, the primary Victorian garden bursts with color. Purple jewels blanket the beds, but the lavish look was no accident.
This is violet flare viola, and we got a little secret to getting them so lush, and that is to fall plant them. They hold a lot more blossoms, and the plant's just that much more vigorous by having that extra time in the ground.
But this isn't the only old-time treasure here. Nearly lost amid the bold colors, a delicate flower blooms just as it did in Victorian times. The lacy linaria was common then, but it's rare in today's garden. Nearby, billowy blossoms adorn a serpentine wall of oriental evergreens. Here, a chartreuse tree with its tangled thread-like foliage conceals a colorful secret.
This is a weeping thread arborvitae. What's really unusual about this is it's grafted. It gives you the height by being grafted to another plant, which was typical in the Victorian time.
Leaving the formal gardens, a path draws visitors into a wall of evergreens. And here, there's another Victorian surprise.
This is a weeping Atlas cedar. It's a little unusual to find it here in our climate, but it seems to be doing well. Victorians liked a lot of contrasting colors and weeping forms, so it's very appropriate for the Victorian garden.
A colorful observatory surrounded by pansies and snapdragons beckons visitors. The tower is modeled after an historical photo of one of Shaw's 19th century gardens. Now as then, the view from the top of the observatory reveals this garden's most treasured secret. This is the prized view of the garden's Victorian maze, created with arborvitae and yew shrubs.
That's a folly. People with affluence would make these mazes just for the entertainment of others. It really has no purpose or function other than to confuse you and have some fun.
The delightful Victorian garden is like a page out of history filled with the treasures of another time. But this secret garden of the Missouri Botanical Gardens is here to be savored and enjoyed today. Coming up, find out why this exquisite garden offers so much more than mere beauty. Also, we'll explore a garden treasure that towers above the rest as The Secret Gardens continues. St. Louis, Missouri is a city that fills the senses. 2.5 million people live, work, and play here. And from the quaint noise of horse-drawn carriages to the vibrant rhythm of St. Louis blues, this city sounds inviting. So it's no surprise when a beautiful hidden garden seems to call visitors in. This is a place designed for all the senses.
So we pay particular attention to water sounds, to wind chimes, to trying to encourage with plants, birds to be in the garden.
The beautiful retreat is filled with flowers. And the design secret here is so much more than meets the eye.
Well, it is a hidden secret place. I have to agree that it is very special, and I'm very fortunate to have it here.
Doug McCarthy is the garden owner. When he began losing his sight 20 years ago, his garden focus took on a new dimension. He began adding fragrant flowers and sound. And now it's a garden that satisfies him and every other visitor lucky enough to be invited into this secret space. Plants drape over paths, helping to define and identify corridors through the garden.
The plant materials help in some senses. When the daylilies and hostas grow along the path that I use, it helps to keep me on the path.
Sounds in the garden set the mood for relaxation. But they also help orient Doug to the property.
The wind chimes help some. I know where they are, and they help direct sound.
13 fountains, each with a unique sound, were collected and installed by Doug himself.
I like to do the fountains. I like to hear them, and they are helpful to help me navigate.
An exquisite marble fountain from Doug's travels to Europe graces the Italian garden on the side of the home. Antique wrought iron gates and hornbeam hedgerows make this a secret garden room. Here, dahlias and dianthus frolic in a feathery white border, and golden foxtail lilies hide behind the ruby leaves of Japanese maples. The many hidden rooms of the garden are designed to be what Doug calls rooms you can get your arms around. The terrace garden radiates with brilliant begonias that have a unique characteristic. They're a variety that blooms all year long, spreading their cheerful blossoms across the terrace. Fragrant hydrangea petiolaris vines cloak the walls of this cozy retreat. Exquisite hosta leaves layer the garden with endless colors and textures. But few would guess this 2-acre garden holds 1,500 varieties of hostas and 46 varieties of Japanese maples.
There are a lot of discovery opportunities. As you wander from room to room or place to place in the garden, you suddenly get a whole different atmosphere.
A hidden forest filled with soft paths and secluded benches delights visitors who stumble upon it.
The woodland garden in the back came into being when we had to tear down a 70-foot-high sycamore tree, and they had to clear away a thicket. And Chuck said, "Oh ho, I see another garden," and that became the woodland garden.
Near the woodland garden, a vast border garden enclosed by trees holds its secrets close to the ground.
Sort of buried back in here is Anemone sylvestris. It blooms in May, and it will often bloom again and surprise you with a great bloom burst in August.
Foxgloves and lilac trees join the blossom parade, along with a procession of foliage that marches around the main house, nearly obscuring it from view. But Doug's favorite garden blooms near the pool, where old-fashioned roses carry a unique aroma found only in roses going back to Victorian days. The fragrances, sounds, and sights of this 2-acre oasis work their magic into a garden show that's simply sensational. Doug McCarthys' secret garden is a St. Louis garden gem, resounding with pleasures to delight all the senses. Still ahead, a hidden escape where it's truly possible to miss the trees for the forest, and a new chapter in a private garden's storied past.
The garden has a lot of secret places.
When the Secret Gardens returns.
HGTV kicks off summer.
St. Louis, Missouri is well known for its eye-catching arch. Soaring 630 feet into the air, the sleek stainless steel structure is America's tallest monument. It commemorates the time when Wild West pioneers stopped here to gather provisions and energy for the adventure ahead. Today, some of those adventures lie within the shadow of the arch itself. Hidden in the heart of the city, garden explorers find a little-known getaway, the century-old Tower Grove Park.
It is a secret garden, even though it's in the midst of a metropolitan city now, but it's relatively unknown by the population.
It is unknown, even though this towering garden is one of only 4 urban parks in the country named as National Historic Landmarks. Tower Grove took root in the 1870s, when plant lover and philanthropist Henry Shaw dedicated the land as a public park. Shaw also established another hidden St. Louis gem, the Missouri Botanical Gardens. Here in Tower Grove, he created a meandering landscape teeming with fountains, pavilions, trees, and shrubs. And with nearly 300 acres, the park's 8,000 specimens can stretch out.
It's primarily a park for trees, so a wide range of trees was planted.
Their cozy canopy gives a sense of privacy to visitors who linger and explore the park's many secrets. Yet it's entirely possible to miss the trees for the forest, which would mean overlooking solitary beauties like this.
One of the special trees in the park is a tree called Paulownia, which is from China originally and is rather rare in this country.
Also from Asia, gracious ginkgo trees. They're on the park's north side, surrounded by weeping willows and a feathery tamarind tree with tufts of pink foliage. And cloaked by the fringed arms of old trees here, the outlines of mock ruins are barely visible. Ruins were a favorite Victorian garden element. But those in the know realize these shapes hold secrets of historic St. Louis.
The stonework on the north side of the sailboat pond is made from stones salvaged from the old Lindell Hotel in downtown St. Louis. Shaw salvaged many of those stones and brought them out here to his park.
Close to the pond's edge, marigolds, scarlet salvias, and wispy lavender ageratum float on an ocean of green. But visitors who stop here miss finding another secret garden hidden deeper in the park. On the eastern edge of Tower Grove, a broad path arches around a fountain where pansies and boxwoods frame a secluded gathering area. Elegant dogwoods bloom nearby, but these conceal a chameleon characteristic.
The blossoms initially are white, but later on they turn pink, which visitors find very confusing because, of course, they say, I was here last week and it was white.
Nearby, one of the park's many ornate 19th century pavilions is restored to its Victorian colors. But the truly secret garden sparkles in the park's far corner. Hidden behind the director's historic residence, this garden only opens to the public for special occasions. On our private tour, a densely shaded path gives way to a secret resting area. Here, a gracious fountain is a tranquil escape. This is a place where generations may have slipped away to escape the heat of a St. Louis summer. Tower Grove Park has become a symbol of one man's lofty aspirations. It's a hidden preserve where garden gifts have been allowed to grow and become a towering St. Louis secret. Coming up, we discover a St. Louis sanctuary that's a page out of history. The Secret Gardens returns in a moment.
Bring outdoor.
The quiet Midwestern city of St. Louis, Missouri, prides itself on its distinct architectural style. Cobblestone streets and red brick buildings add old-world charm to this new-world metropolis. One of the city's most enchanting neighborhoods is Lafayette Square, dubbed the Painted Ladies for its colorful Victorian homes. At one vivid Victorian, formal topiaries and fragrant roses add elegance in front while hinting at more to come. Here, a secret garden befitting Victorian sensibilities is nestled behind wrought iron gates.
It's hidden from view, except to the passersby who come past, peer in, and get kind of excited when they see it, and will often linger there for a time to enjoy it.
Linda Weiner has spent years creating this garden masterpiece. Its beauty comes from cobblestones, lattice, flowers, and fragrance. Its intrigue is inspired by the past. In 1990, this Victorian was fading, along with remnants of grand historic gardens. That's when Linda bought the property, vowing to renovate and recreate a private oasis. Soon, she discovered the house and gardens have a storied past.
The house was built in about 1880 to 1884 by Schuster of Simon & Schuster Publishing. He lived originally here in St. Louis. This area and this house have so much history, and this garden as well.
Unlike an historical novel set in St. Louis, the gardens here unfold one chapter at a time.
The garden has a lot of secret places. As you come around a bend on the pathway that's made out of old brick, you come across a garden that's a circular planting made of cobblestone.
These cobblestones conceal a public past. They were once part of the streets of St. Louis and ended up here when the streets were turned to pavement. Nearby, the rose-covered arbor draws visitors around a curve into a cloud of ferns and hostas filled with snowballs of peonies. A Victorian gazing ball reflects this hidden area as a tapestry of textures.
It's like a secret room. It's a special little place. And if you look in the gazing ball, you can see the garden from a totally different perspective.
Water is another perspective in this garden. Just around a bend, the soothing sound of water reveals a new surprise. A koi pond framed by delicate pink astilbe. The water softens the encroaching sounds of St. Louis city center. And it provides a natural backdrop to this intriguing plant.
This is something native to Missouri called horsetails that grows along swampy bottomlands.
But now and then, a mystery plant pops up, such as the poke plant that appeared quite unexpectedly. Luckily, the plant wasn't a mystery for long.
My mother-in-law is Native American, and as a child, she always went and picked poke. She identified the plant as poke, and so it's been here ever since, and I've just let it continue to be. So it was a real unexpected, pleasant surprise.
Almost everyone is surprised by the scarlet blossoms of one of Linda's favorite flowers. The bougainvillea vine isn't usually found in Missouri gardens.
It's a variegated variety, and it's a plant that has to be brought indoors, but I love it so much, and the only way to grow it is to grow it in pots or containers and bring it in. But it's such a surprise to people when they come to visit the garden to see it in bloom and in all its glory.
St. Louis itself holds many garden surprises. Nestled behind gates or in historic neighborhoods, this is a city where secret gardens become a gateway to magical garden adventures. Join us again next time as we discover more hidden treasures in America's most spectacular secret gardens.